Howdy y'all, I'm back today with a new video on Across the Spiderverse. Now this video is going to be me reviewing the movie. First I'll start off with the non-spoiler part and then go to the spoiler part, but I'll give you a warning and you can go to this time and then if you want to see the spoiler part. Now if you can consider dropping a like and subscribing, it would be really appreciated, and maybe even commenting on something you'd want to cover, and I'll get right to it. Now for my non-spoiler part, I wanted to talk about the fact that I thought this movie was just beautiful, right? I thought everything was a great payoff. I thought the characters had great growth and development. I love the villains in this because obviously, no surprise, the Spot and Spider-Man 29 were the main antagonists of the movie, right? But everything was just so great. The music, the visuals, all the different art styles was just beautiful to see, right? And every character feels unique. And I was a little worried before going in because I was really hyped for this movie. So I was like, what if I'm getting too hyped and then get disappointed, right? Because I love the first one. So when I came in, I was like, okay, hopefully it's good, right? And then I saw the movie and I was just blown away, right? Like, oh, it's just so beautiful, right? And each character has motives to do their agenda, right? And usually it could come off weird for some characters, but I felt like every character was like pretty much justified, right? You could see Spider-Gwen and what she's doing. You could see Miles and what he's doing. You could see why everyone's upset at each other or not, right? And it just made sense for the story and it didn't feel forced or jumbled together for no reason either. Also, I want to take a second to acknowledge the music because I was a little skeptical coming in, like if I was going to actually like the music, but as I was watching different scenes, I really was digging the music, right? Because they definitely took it up a notch, I feel like, from the first one in so many ways. So the music was a nice touch to it. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, what are you doing? Go see it because everyone loves this movie. I've literally seen people who criticize movies on a typical loving this movie. So go ahead and see it. It definitely raises the ante. Now here's my spoiler review part. The plot is beautiful, right? Like the whole idea that Miles is trying to stop the Spot was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? I love how he's joking around with the Spot because, like, let's face it, who takes the Spot seriously? Not even comics, they take him seriously, really, right? So it was awesome to see. Also, the classic trope of the villain gets more upset by Spider-Man's jokes and it doesn't help. And it's like, oh, okay. You can see how these are problematic and it makes sense for the story, right? And oh my god, they did such a great job of making like beloved characters hated throughout the movie, right? Could not stand Jessica Drew. It's not like the actress's fault or anything. It's just how they wrote her. I was like, god damn it, right? And same thing with Spider-Gwen. I was like, yeah, Miles, ignore her, right? But yeah, honestly, I could not stand those two. And when you think about it, right, the idea of Spider-Man letting death happen is just kind of bizarre because it could be avoidable, right? Because the whole canon event thing, right? It could seem a little flimsy when you talk about the multiverse, right? So, yeah, it's just crazy to see so many Spider people just be like, yeah, it's fine if he dies. Oh, yeah, it's fine if they die. As long as the universe doesn't get destroyed, right? But damn, when they wanted you to like a character, you could feel it, right? Because I love Spider-Punk. He might be one of my favorite characters in that whole movie. Just because he was so cool and different, right? Obviously, with art styles, it always changes, right? Which they did beautiful on. But you could just tell they were like, yeah, no, this guy, he's going to hate the system. You're going to like it, right? And then Miles, yeah, you're going to like him trying to break that system too. And then, yeah, you see Peter B. Parker. Yeah, him and his kid are trying to do selfies every 5 seconds, right? And obviously, if you pay attention to the movie, right, you can see certain things happening before it happens, right? It's the usual thing with movies. It could be a little straightforward and you can tell where it's going to go as far as story goes, right? Like the twist that, oh, it's going to be Earth 42 is where Miles goes instead of his normal Earth 1610, right? Also, I like the idea where Miguel even says in the movie, it's like, oh, well, if you didn't get bit by the spider, your universe's Spider-Man wouldn't die and another universe would have their Spider-Man. And that I feel like that just makes Miles' origin just that more depressing when you think about it. Because in the Ultimate Universe, at least it was just like, oh, okay, he let Spider-Man die kind of because he didn't do anything, but he couldn't really do anything, right? But that was it. In this universe, it's like, oh, okay, not only did Spider-Man die because he didn't do anything, but also another universe got screwed over in the process with no Spider-Man, and now it's a gang New York, right? Also, I love the twist that you find out Miles Morales is the Prowler in another universe, because that's a good parallel to have between Miles as Spider-Man and then Miles as Prowler, right? I kind of wish in the scene though they didn't show two different people, like one knocking out Miles and then obviously Uncle Aaron, because I felt like it would have fumed it more if it was like, oh, okay, Miles just gets knocked out, you see him falling to the ground, right? And then it cuts to like Aaron having like hung up like he did with Peter P. Parker, right? With Miles, anyways. And then boom, you reveal that Miles is the Prowler, right? I give the plot a solid 12 out of 10. It was so beautiful, right? And now let's go on to the cameos, right? The cameos in this movie were insane, right? Going in as a Spider-Man fan, I was just completely blown away, right? Because there were certain characters where I didn't think they were going to have a major role or even a minor role, really. They were just going to be like, oh, okay, you could see them, right? Like Spectacular Spider-Man, right? Because with Spectacular Spider-Man, right, I loved his show when it was coming out, right? And I'm so upset that he wasn't coming back, right? And then you find out he's going to be in this movie, and you're like, oh, okay, he's probably going to be in there for like maybe just to be like, oh, he's there, right? But they actually gave him speaking lines and gave a little foreshadowing to what happened in his future, right? With the canon events explaining that Captain Stacy of his universe died. And with Josh Keane coming back, that was so cool to hear, right? I was just giddy when I heard him. I was like, oh yeah, let's go, right? And it's just crazy to see, like, even like the Spider-Man we love, right? They're just agreeing to the whole canon event thing like blindly. And it's just like, damn, that's insane, right? Because you would think Spider-Man would be like, yeah, I want to save everyone as much as possible, right? And even most of the like episodes or comics are about that, right? And you go here and you're like, damn, would you even want to be Spider-Man at a certain point? Like, I read somewhere that Yuri Lowenthal returned as Insomniac Spider-Man. That's cool. Because I did a short a little while ago reviewing the fact that I don't think it's going to be the same Spider-Man. And honestly, I hope they address it a little bit in the next game, because we saw multiple different versions of Insomniac Spider-Man. So one of these could be Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man from the video games. So hopefully we get a little nod at that. Nothing huge. Also, Donald Glover came back, which I love that guy. He's been trying to be Spider-Man for years, so it's like so sad that he's never really gotten to be Spider-Man outside of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. But in this universe, he's the live-action Prowler, which, by the way, they did live-action cameos so good. I was a little worried, and I didn't think they were going to do it as good. Like, I thought it was going to look cringy, right? Seeing like the different universes, and there's like you had an animated universe and a live action universe. But yeah, they did that good because you got Mrs. Chang from the Venom universe, obviously the Prowler, right, as Donald Glover was in there, and that's cool to see. And then you also got the reused clips for the Amazing Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, right? And then we got Lego Spider-Man, and I loved seeing that because they didn't really try to make it like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to make it more animated like how we did the other universes, right? They were just like, nah, this is like a normal stop motion, like something you would see from the Lego movie or the Lego Batman movie, right? And that was so funny to see when like Miguel was like, you're one of our best. And you're just like, damn, a Lego Spider. Now for the last part of this will be theory time and what I think could possibly happen in the future movie of Beyond the Spider-Verse, right? So as I was watching, I noticed they had these things called canon events, right? And basically canon events and absolute points and all that stuff are basically the same thing, right? It's like, oh, okay, this point's defined in time. You break it, bad stuff happens, right? Like we saw this in the What If with Doctor Strange, right? And all the universe got collapse on, blah, 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 right? And a similar thing, I guess. I've always had a problem with this, though, because if there's an absolute point in time for all the multiverse, and there's what ifs that are supposed to be like, oh, well, what if this happened or this little thing got changed? It comes to reason that, like, in a multiverse of infinite possibilities, that possibility would be changed, right? So an absolute point wouldn't stick. And we see this with Gwen's dad. Well, he quit, right? So, okay, he doesn't become captain and all, but again, who knows what could actually stick? And if canon events destroy the universe, why does it look like a black dot like the Spawn? Kind of suspicious. So I think they're going to elaborate more on that in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Obviously, with the idea that like Miles' spider bite was from a different universe and that universe lost their Spider-Man because of that, I think that Miles is obviously going to battle each other, right? Also, I think that Spider-Gwen and her team need to like get more people, right? Because the guys we got initially, right, are really cool. We got like 6 or 7 of them, right? Like we got Peter Parker, we got Spider-Gwen, we got Hobie and Spider-Punk, right, and all this stuff. But when you're talking the Spider-Verse as a whole, right, that definitely needs more than like 7 or 8 spider people, right? Like you're gonna need like an army of your own, right? Of people that probably didn't fit there, right? So also I have no idea how they're gonna try to beat the Spot in this universe because it's like this Spot is definitely way more overpowered than normal Spot is, right? Like they had a similar power set, right? But like the idea that you could power up using multiple colliders is just an interesting thought, right? And with him having like nearly infinite holes and becoming a hole in himself, that's going to be interesting. So either they're going to have to talk him down or make some type of machine, but there's no way they're going to punch their way through that one. Now, that was my overall view of the movie, right? I honestly just loved it overall. And like I said, I cannot recommend it enough. Like, go see that movie if you get a chance, right? And I'll catch you guys later.